I thought that culture shocks happens only when you arrive to a new destination. Let's look together what hit me hard when I returned back from Canada to Slovakia and then back to Amsterdam where I study. And it's been very interesting when I came back. So let's just go straight into it. I came back from my exchange in Canada as a completely different person. I, first of all, didn't expect this. This was such a massive personal growth period that I could not predict because the things that were happening there were also not that predictable. The fact that I decided to solo travel during my week off was something I didn't plan, and I planned it last minute, and looking back, it was the best thing I could do. I'm so excited to talk about this today, guys. It was the best. Also, I turned 20 in Canada, so it was also a big moment in my life when I realized that, okay, it's getting real, I'm getting old. And looking back, it was such a valuable opportunity for further growth. Thinking about a reverse culture shock when coming back from Canada makes me very emotional. It was a transformative experience, and it's funny to look at what things surprised me when I came to Canada, and I made a video about it, so definitely check it out. Coming back was somewhat a little bit difficult. This is because of a phenomenon called reverse culture shock. And this is about that you do not experience shock just when you come to a country, culture shock. You experience culture shock when you get to a certain place. Then you get used to the place and it's not that bad anymore. And yeah, I fell in love with Canada. It was so difficult to leave. But you also get a reverse culture shock when you come back to your country, because there are things that you got accustomed to while you were in the country and now they are not there anymore. The biggest reverse culture shock experience for me was how everything around me felt so small. And no jokes, I'm from the capital of Slovakia, from Bratislava. And my parents came to pick me up to Vienna, where I landed. And we were driving back to Bratislava. We went through our biggest bridge there. And you could see the whole city and our castle. And I was looking at it and I was like, what's this? This feels so small. And even the bridge, I felt like it's tiny. And I told my parents and they were laughing so much because I got used to these huge buildings in Canada and huge everything. And I come back to the capital and it's so small. This was so funny. And I think that this was something that was with me for a couple more months. I was in the capital, but I still felt like I'm in a village. And also the distances, how short amount of time I needed to get from one side of the city to another compared to the distances in Canada. I think that this was something that on one hand I missed. On the other hand, I was like, maybe it's not that bad that things feel a bit closer to each other. But this was one of the things that I felt for a couple of weeks, how everything around me is so small. The second element of my reverse culture shock was constant time comparison. I was living in these two realities. On one hand, I was in Slovakia, in Bratislava, doing my internship, because I started immediately, like 2 days after I arrived, I started an internship in television and it was 9 to 5, so I didn't have time to be sad about it that much. So on one hand, I was living my reality in Slovakia, but I refused to change the time on my watch. And I was constantly thinking during the day, what would I be doing at this time in Canada? I don't remember how long this phenomenon took me to overcome, but I felt this strong feeling that this is not the right reality I'm living. Like, I'm supposed to be there doing these other things. This was interesting. I just enjoyed so much my time there that I felt like the time is passing there differently. Time passes in the same way everywhere. But the way I was experiencing my life there was slightly different than from what I experienced before and how I was experiencing time after. I don't say that one way is better than the other, but I was just constantly in this time comparison and thinking like, okay, now it's 6 hour difference. So it was 6 p.m. in Slovakia. I was getting back from work and I was thinking, like, okay, at 12 o'clock, what I was doing in Canada. And I constantly was in this back and forth reality check. And then I don't know at what moment I decided that, okay, it's time to move the watch back to my normal time. But after a couple of weeks, I told myself, okay, Sophia, you need to start living in just one reality, even though it's sad you're not there anymore, because I really fell in love with that country and I'm definitely coming back. I was leaving Canada with sadness that I'm leaving, but at the same time, I knew that this is not the last time I'm there. So Canada, I'm coming. Another thing I didn't expect when I returned from my exchange was the post-study abroad depression. It's depression in a very specific way, because on one hand, I was surrounded with my family and friends after I came back, which is something I'm really grateful for, because I think it would be quite hard to fly straight to Amsterdam and start classes and live like nothing has changed because so many things have changed. But I was surrounded with my family, so I think this was made a bit easier compared to if I had to come back here. I'm recording from the Netherlands right now. I felt sad, but it was weird sadness. As I said, the time comparison was one element, and the other one was thinking about the experiences I went through and ruminating about the events that happened. And I think rumination is a good word for this because you kind of relive your memories. But after some time, I tried to switch it in my brain. I tried to change this ruminating from just having good memories and taking a little step back from how I looked at those experiences. I think it was a bit of a shock for me because I didn't expect that, okay, 4 months somewhere in another country that is going to leave such a great impact on my life. And it took a good 3 months to completely distance myself from those sad feelings. And I think if you're going through something similar, that you return from an exchange and you feel a bit sad, or it can be a study abroad exchange or something shorter, it doesn't have to be longer, semester abroad, but it's fine to feel those emotions because there is no point in trying to suppress them. You were experiencing nice things, you went through so much, and it's okay to take your time to process all those emotions. It's just good to not get into your own bubble and sharing this with other people, talking through your emotions, and definitely staying in touch with all your friends from exchange. It was also interesting for me to think about how all of us exchange students return back to our countries all over the world, Australia, Asia, Europe. We are all back to our normal lives, but it's never going to be the same as it was. Interesting thing about this post-exchange depression was that it was coming in waves of sadness and nostalgia. It was not a one constant feeling that I will be depressed and I couldn't do things. It was more like there was a little reminder of something from Canada, and then it came with all those memories, and then I need to overcome that again. And I created this metaphor or comparison that I left a piece of my heart in Canada, and I will come to take it back at some point, but for now it's there. It was really nice I was happy to leave that piece of my heart there because the things and experiences and the people I met, it was all worth it. What is important is not to stay in that depressed, low state of mind, but rather turn it into action. So if there is something that inspired you during your exchange, how can you act on that beautiful event or memory you had? How can you share that with more people? How can you inspire others? How can you motivate others to go on exchange, let's say? So what I did after I came back to Amsterdam, because I did an internship for a month in Slovakia, and I came back to Amsterdam for one more course. And then when I talked to people about my exchange, I told them everything. I shared the experience. I wrote a little journal entry for prospective students, for someone who would like to go on exchange to McGill. How amazing that was. And I think this was one of the most transformative decisions of my life, to go on exchange from already studying abroad. When I was telling my friends and everyone how I want to go on exchange, it felt so unnatural for me because I was already abroad, you know what I mean. I was abroad and I want to go abroad again. And the fact that I chose Canada, I still do not know until this moment why I did that. I mean, I read the testimonials. McGill was one of the first one in the document. I read it and I was like, it'll be cool to go to Montreal. And then I applied. It was a lottery system, so you didn't know whether you get in or not. You didn't know. It was luck. They assign you a number, and based on the number, they look at your university preferences. And I put Montreal as my first choice. And somehow the destiny led me to Montreal, and I felt there like at home from day one. And this is something that I have not experienced before. When I came to Amsterdam, I like Amsterdam, but I didn't have this at-home feeling from the very beginning. And now as I'm leaving Amsterdam in a month, and yeah, it's gonna be sad, but I didn't get attached to the place in the same way as I did to Montreal. And that was just 4 months in the country. Guys, I can't imagine what would happen if I stayed there longer. So those are my thoughts about this post-exchange cultural reverse culture shock. It was so good. Looking back, I can just say that I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity, and it was more than I could dream of. It was a process of ups and downs. It was not the best peak high-level energy every single day, as you can imagine. The road ahead of us in our 20s, or in general in life, is curvy. It's not a straight line that you have one goal and you go there and it's super simple and super easy. It's rather this curvy road, and we do not know what's on the next little curvy part of the road. So we just need to learn to trust the process, trust God, and resting in peace, knowing that wherever we go, it's part of this bigger plan. And we are never anywhere just by chance. We are always there for specific reasons. And we might not understand them in the moment, but when we look back in the future, we'll understand why we were sent there, why we met the people we met, what we learned about ourselves, how it strengthened us, who we became in the process. And this is something what I'm talking about a lot in this channel, about the process of becoming and how we appreciate who we are right now while we are striving to build a life we want through a constant work on ourselves and becoming better just a little bit every single day. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as I said, if you missed the video about my culture shock in Canada, definitely check the video up here. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye. There is one more thing I forgot to mention. One thing I will not miss about my exchange is wearing Timberland boots 24/7. Literally, when you are there for a winter semester and you have to wear it because otherwise you would freeze to death. My legs were hurting so much every single day because when you are walking those heavy boots everywhere for long periods of time, your feet start to hurt. And I was so happy when I just threw them away when I came back at the end of April, beginning of May back home. I was like, this is crazy. I'm wearing Timberland boots in April. In Slovakia, you wear boots maybe December to February. Then it's done. Spring comes, whereas in Montreal, there was no spring until end of April. Funny things. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed the video and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.